views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up on today's show, we'll find out about Bronx Community College Automotive program. It's partnering with a local dealership and what can be expected for students moving forward. And then we'll discuss a not-for-profit organization providing critically needed support for children, youth, and adults who actually live in New York City's most underserved communities. And then later, we'll speak with the founder of the Young Investors Empowerment Club on teaching youth on the fundamental investing in personal finance. And then finally, we'll discuss how Bronx businesses are partnering up during the pandemic and their upcoming plans for the winter and indoor dining season. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way because right now we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, September 30th, and you're watching Open, a show that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers who are watching on MNN's channel, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on MNN's channel. You can also stay tuned to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, a whole lot has been going on through the past week. We don't have the time to give you everything, but we can give you a couple of things with our Bronx updates. We'll start off with news across New York City. And Mayor Bill de Blasio announced the extension to the city's open restaurant initiative, which sprang up amidst the coronavirus pandemic due to restrictions in indoor dining. The decision was made to help save the city's struggling restaurant industry. The extension currently offers expanded space for restaurants on 85 streets citywide, which are closed to traffic on certain days. Restaurants can also build enclosed heating outdoor spaces for dining, but those must follow indoor dining capacity limits currently set at 25%. And that is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We want you to stay with us. We do have a great show coming up, so stay with us. Open returns right after this.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
And welcome back here to Open. Daren Jaime here with you. The Bronx Community College's Automotive Technology curriculum is one of a kind in its City University of New York. The program prepares a student for a career as an automotive technician. Now, this curriculum develops an understanding of operational principles, service sequences, and diagnostic techniques for the automobile. Well, what services and benefits will be provided to students that are enrolled in this program? Joining us to share a little bit more and talk about it, we are joined by the Director of Automotive Technology at Bronx Community College, Clement E. Drummond, and then also Master Technician at BMW of Manhattan, Grace Claudio. And glad to have you both here with us on Open.
Well, Daren, it's certainly my pleasure to be here today to talk about Bronx Community College's automotive program.
Thank you. Well, we're glad to have you. And as we talk about an automotive program at Bronx Community College, we know that there are a lot of different majors that people can actually, graduate with. But when it comes to automotive technology, it's being offered at BCC. And Clement, I'll let you take it away. A little bit about this program and the difference it's making in the lives of students who enroll.
Okay, well, first of all, let me say this. High school students that are graduating from all over the city come to our Bronx Community College's Automotive Technology program. And some of the reasons they come there is because, one, financial aid. It's very cost effective. When you look at other schools around the 5 boroughs, you'll find that the education that we give is very competitively priced in the sense that theirs is somewhere in the $30,000 range. And ours, with financial aid, could be very reasonable. One of the other things is our facilities. The facilities that we have are state of the art. We have a brand new facility that's going to come online this spring, 2021. It's called the Patterson Building. That was through a grant from the governor's office. And I'm happy to report that the progress on the building is being made right now as we talk. There's steel studs going up, there's foundations, there's brand new classroom. That's going to be 6,000 square feet, but we already have 12,000 square feet. So we're going to have 18,000 square feet of facilities to provide the best training for students that want to be in the automotive industry.
Yeah. And Grace, thank you for sharing with us here. Talk a little bit about the partnership with Nissan in Manhattan. Of course, you guys are working in partnership and collaboration together right now. You're at your own facility right there. A little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks, Daren. Well, with the Nissan program, I'm able to work on newer vehicles, which is really nice to demonstrate to the students as I work at BCC as a CLT. So having newer vehicles and newer technology to show the students is so much better. Also, working at BMW Manhattan, so that's where I'm at right now. And I was able to get into BMW through the partnership program, the STEP program with Bronx Community College, and that's how I was able to get here.
Mm-hmm. And Clement, when we talk about this, there's an opportunity for an apprenticeship, right? And I think that not only are you getting that book knowledge, but the reality is there's some hands-on knowledge, and that knowledge is definitely invaluable.
Yes.
Definitely is.
The local dealers support us by having an apprentice program. And one of the things is that when they go to the shop, they're given a mentor. So it's not that they just show up and they try to figure out what they have to do. They're going to work with a lead technician that has mastered this, and they could ask some questions on the job. And, students come to college, well, you learn all the foundational, but you have to apply it. So it's a job that you use your mind, and you have to be able to use your hands, and you complete jobs that are mechanical. You have to have good analytical skills. You have to have reading skills. Think of today's cars that we're going into autonomous cars now, that cars that can drive themselves. This is all about electronics. So we give a great foundation in electronics, or it's basic electric and then into the electronic part. So Grace, when you were at the college, I remember you were a 4.0 student. She was one of our best students over the years. And what happens is there's people at BMW, they have corporate meetings, and there was one in England, and they mentioned Grace's name because she's such a good technician.
And Grace, it's got to be a great feeling for you coming through the program. You working at BMW. Talk to us about how this has actually, helped you professionally.
It's definitely a great feeling, especially growing up in the Bronx and being able to excel. You know how it is when it comes to minorities. And it's been a great learning experience. Before this, I was a boxer, so I already understood what it was for to be rejected or to be not taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of already had that mindset to come in and work do my thing, learn what needs to be done, get my job done, and go home. So it was no playing around. It was more business and trying to be the best that I want to be and excelling and becoming a master technician, which I was able to accomplish. And it's a great feeling, and it's great to represent Bronx Community College because they helped me a lot and the professors were great.
Yeah.
So I owe them a lot of gratitude.
And Clement, in addition to having this professional experience, right, you have the opportunity to do and work in a practical setting. But I also want to talk about certifications because in addition to having these practical setting, you also have the ability also through this program to have certifications?
That's correct, because right in our beginning class, the intro, students already, there's something called SP2, which is Safety and Pollution. And it's a safety program. But what we do is they take actually 3 of the courses. They actually get certificates right up front. And actually, they actually take the management level one. So every student that attends Bronx Community College, the first thing they're going to do is get certificates in safety, which when they go to a dealership is invaluable, because what happens is dealerships have to pay insurance. So they like to see things of that nature. So we like to give them success right from the day go. And what happens is from there, they can get ASC certifications. Now, the college program is accredited by Automotive Service Excellence Education, all right? And we're accredited at the highest level, which is master. And then what happens is students that take courses, what they usually do is they will then take an ASC exam and start building up that credential. So that makes them more valuable to the dealership when they get hired.
Grace, a little bit about just a student that could potentially participate in the program. Speak to them about the benefits and what you think they'll be able to get by considering a career in automotives, because there are a lot of careers out there. We know about science and tech. We know about STEM and those things. But when it comes to a career in the automotive industry, somebody might say, well, is it really tangible? And you would say what to that?
I would say that it is tangible. It is something that you're passionate about and you like working with your hands, which was my case. Going for the automotive program at BCC, you can get your associate's degree or you can get your certificate. It is a lot of opportunity. The professors are great. And there's a lot of money to be made as an automotive technician. You're always going to need a technician no matter what, to fix your own car, to fix other people's cars. It's a really great experience. Like, I love what I do, and not a lot of people have the privilege to say that.
Yeah, it's a great privilege to be able to say, listen, I like what I do. I go to work in the morning. I come home fulfilled because I like what I do. Clement, about the program as well, students who actually take part in the program, I understand that if they're hired, there's also a possibility for tuition reimbursement?
Yes, with the Nissan program, if they go to work for a Nissan dealership, with over a 2-year period, they could receive up to $6,000 towards their cost of their education prior to going into the dealership.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk about how students can actually participate. I mean, if there's a student out there saying, listen, this is exactly what I want to do. What do they do?
Well, the first step is go to the BCC website. And you could, or you could actually go on your browser and put in automotive technology, and you'll see Bronx Community College's automotive technology program come up. And then what you could do from there is you can look at, we have pictures of the various equipment, labs, cars. And then from there, you just click on admissions, and then you could register to become a student at Bronx Community College. Now, I just want to point out, Bronx Community College is very unique. You could apply for college for August, all right? That's our fall semester. And then we also have a spring semester. So students could start actually looking into this and actually start the, I would say the paperwork, but it's not paperwork, it's all online. And what happens is you could actually start registering for Bronx Community College for the spring. So we have it twice a year, where a lot of colleges, you only can start in the fall.
Pretty interesting there. And Grace, what does it feel like for you? I mean, going through the program, and now you're at BMW in Manhattan, one of the most premier places in all of New York City, and you're working there. For you, in some ways, a little bit of a dream come true?
It definitely is. Definitely a dream come true, really. If it wasn't for Bronx Community College, I probably wouldn't be here. Not a lot of dealerships take female technicians. So it's been a rough road, but very rewarding, and definitely worth the sweat and tears.
Well, thank you so much, Grace, for the great work that you're doing, and congratulations on your position and all the things that are happening for you. Clement, want to thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit about Bronx Community College and the Automotive program. I think it's a great program, and hopefully we'll get some more students connected who have this as a desire.
Well, thank you, Daren.
Thank you so much, Daren. Thank you for having us.
No worries, no worries. Listen, and we want you to stay connected. Of course, you can find out more. All you got to do is go to the Bronx Community College website and get more about this Nissan Automotive Technology program. Listen, we still have some more show up ahead, so please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Open will return right after this.
It looks bleak. It feels bleak. But the city isn't shut down, because our public services keep working, in spite of and in the face of the dangers. We can count on them. And to keep them working and funded now and in the future, we need to be counted. Self-respond now to the 2020 census at my2020census.gov.
And welcome back. The New York City Mission Society has been on the front lines of the war on poverty for more than 2 centuries. They provide support for children, youth, and adults who live in New York City's most underserved communities. They weave together academic enrichment, career readiness, and also college access programs to create transformational educational experiences for low-income communities throughout New York. The organization has also provided life-changing opportunities to over 6.5 million New Yorkers. Here now to share with us a little bit more is the president of the Mission Society of New York City, Elsie McCabe Thompson. And Elsie, glad to have you.
It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you. And we're glad to have you sharing with us as well. Tell us a little bit about your organization, because it does some great work, particularly in the area of educational achievement.
Well, it's something that we feel passionately about. Mm-hmm. One of the, part of our special sauce, if you will, is all of us, virtually 90% of our staff comes from the communities we serve. So you hear people talk about authenticity in education. We bring authenticity because we've been where our students are. And I don't mind sharing my personal stories of how, I failed trigonometry in high school. I went to school in the 60s and 70s. And back then they didn't have IEPs. If you were a brown kid, black or brown, you were considered a behavioral problem rather than, you had a learning difference. So I was considered, a serious behavioral problem because I'm dyslexic, I'm dysgraphic, my husband will tell you, I'm acutely ADHD. And it takes a lot for me to sit still. And I know just a moment. But for the intervention of my mother and a couple teachers who really believed in me, I could have been any one of our students. Falling behind in school, not getting it, and thinking I didn't deserve, that I wasn't capable of, doing good or great things. But we try and demystify success by sharing our own stories. And because everybody, including people like Clarence Thomas, since we're focusing on Supreme Courts these days, everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs a village.
Right.
I mean, no matter what you are, rich, poor, black, white, it doesn't matter, because nobody can do everything alone.
Mm-hmm. And the thing for you, and I'm not to cut in, but the thing for you is that in your own kind of way, you are being a bridge, because what you're doing is you're closing that educational achievement gap. And I think that's what you speak to, right? You know, so many people won't admit that there is this educational achievement gap. There's a denial, if you will. But the reality is the statistics do not lie. There's a huge educational achievement gap, particularly for those in people of color. So give me a little bit about the Power Academy and some of what you're doing in terms of trying to close that educational achievement gap.
We try and do some of the things that aren't done in schools. So we try and do, so pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, we try and offer the experiences that kids don't get. So group learning, you know, in small teams, because the only time you see teams in, you know, K-8 schools are on the playing field. But to teach kids how to work with each other, not to, you know, devolve into ad hominem attacks, and to think like scientists. So we've come up with, we call them innovation stations, for instance. We'll do things like have a group of 4 kids and say over the course of an after-school program, you know, 1 hour, 2 or 3 hours a week, you have to come up with a solution to an engineering and science challenge. You know, I want you to find a creative way of building a table using only Scotch tape and a ream of paper. And as soon as kids learn that they're not going to be tested, they're not going to be judged because they didn't come up with the right answer. We tell them there are, you know, incalculable numbers of right answers to this problem. Find one that you like. And I've seen kids do really interesting, unorthodox things. You know, I've seen kids ask, well, if I crush paper, could that become a leg? And, you know, discussions about, well, what is a leg? What is a table? You know, what is it that, you know, creates the essence of tableness? And, you know, working with each other, you know, bouncing ideas off one another, because that's what scientists do. And scientists are smart enough to celebrate their mistakes because they learn from them. Because if you don't, you know, make mistakes, you can't learn. And we offer experiential learning, you know, for kids to be able to do things that are genuinely creative. You know, and it's in an atmosphere, in an environment where they know they're not going to be shamed or judged. Because so many times in school, they are told, no, that's wrong. That, you know, and they're made to feel as though there's something wrong with you because you got the wrong answer.
And Elsie, give me a little bit about the students, if you will, because I didn't want to cut you, but I wanted to ask about the students, because when we're talking about students that you're talking about, they have these experiences. You do a lot of work with students from K through 8, correct? And then also high schools, right? And
high school students, but over age and undercredited high school students. Students who disconnected either formally or informally from school, and, you know, didn't attend many of their classes, maybe have dropped out from school formally, and we get them back in and help them get a full Regents diploma. You know, because the difference between having a Regents, having a high school diploma and not can be lifetime earnings of $1 million.
Wow, and that's a lot.
Oh yeah, that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot.
So how have you been able to make the adjustment, given the fact that COVID-19 is really still impacting city schools? How have you been making the adjustments?
Oh God, well, we, because we had already set up systems to become virtual for many of our staff, you know, doing things online, being able to hire and onboard new staff members virtually, because we had all of that systems already online. And then we started doing things like we built up a community library that's available on our website, so that you can digitally, if you aren't able to access some of our lesson plans or activities for parents or kids, then you can go online. And we've tried to adapt as the needs of our children, our students and families adapted, and as their needs change. So, during the pandemic, we, because we know our families, we know our kids, and we saw them hurting, really hurting, because, one or more family members had lost jobs. Remember during the beginning of the pandemic, you couldn't buy diapers, you couldn't get toilet paper. So we started soliciting and providing our own funds, and have given over $82,000 in direct cash assistance or material assistance. Things like, diapers, because some of our teenage, some of our high school students are parents themselves, and they needed the jobs that we gave them, during our high school paid internship program, to be able to support their families. And we turned those paid internships into virtual internships. No mean feat, but because we know, little bits of money are the difference between, subsistence and less than subsistence living.
So give me where, as far as students can go in terms of reading, because we know that reading is a big challenge. Literacy is a big challenge. Where can students go in this space post-COVID-19 as you're looking to really close that achievement gap? Because we've got that virtual learning system, and a lot of students definitely don't do well virtually, and particularly in the area of reading. How do you see things playing out, and how do you look to offer to bridge that gap?
Well, one of the things we should do as a society is we should change expectations. Yes, the way our current expectations, the DOE is set up, if you don't read proficiently by the time you're in third grade, then you start falling behind, because they have a schedule, because you have to be able to read this well by this age to be able to read the materials that you're given. Why is that? We now know as a community, as a society, that, kids don't become, cognitively fully adults until they're 24 or 25. So why are we shaming kids at third grade because they're not reading as well? But if they're reading by fourth grade, what does it matter? Because we've got this, aggressive ladder, that we expect kids to be able to climb up rung by rung at a certain pace. And the pace is based on, what a middle class kid who has, the plethora of after school activities and other supports. They've got parents who not only speak English fluently, but can read proficiently. And they're introduced to 1 million extra vocabulary words by the time they're in 5th grade. And that kid is judged against, the kid whose parents may not speak English that well, may not be able to read in any one language. So their native language, whatever that might be, they may not be able to read in that language. And then we expect that child to be able to perform as well as a middle-class kid with all of the benefits that education offers. and at the same pace. And that's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah. So before we leave, I want you to give you an opportunity to really share with our viewers how people can get connected to the work that you're doing and if they wanted more information.
Well, feel free to donate. Feel free to volunteer. Missionsociety.org. We are amazing. We're an amazing organization. And the other part of our special sauce is not only do we not judge kids, or we authentically like our kids, but we believe in them. We know that they're capable because we know that we have become capable and we're just like them. So connect with us on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know all the other social media.
I got it. I think I got it at the end. Yeah. So I'll give it as we close out the segment. But
Thank you.
I have your back. Elsie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes. No problem. Elsie McCabe Thompson, our guest here on Open. Thank her so much for being with us. And as we said, now, if you want more information, all you've got to do is follow them at the website. And the website is missionsociety.org. Also follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Mission Society NYC. Don't go anywhere. We still have more Open coming up. We'll be with you right after this. And thank you for staying with us. The COVID-19 pandemic has presented a lot of challenges, particularly for students and teachers in the academic curriculum, as extracurricular activities are also being affected. Well, the Young Investors Empowerment Club is a financial club teaching investment to 7th to 10th graders across the South Bronx as well as Westchester County. The club has recently transitioned into a fully online interactive experience, reaching a larger audience as well as complying with COVID-19 restrictions in New York State. They've partnered with the National Young Investors Society to create weekly interactive lessons from covering stocks, the economy, portfolio diversification, as well as other topics. And so here joining us to share a little bit more is the founder and director and the head of the curriculum at Young Investors Empowerment Club, Jonah Levine. And Jonah, good to have you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, listen, when we talk about, where we are today, certainly a lot of people have been impacted and you have to stay indoors. But I mean, for you, you've taken the opportunity to take investment. And even though people are behind closed doors working virtually, this is something that really young people can really stay connected to no matter COVID-19 or not.
I would have to say so. Being online and everything, it really presents, a challenge, but also kind of an opportunity to bring the club to a much larger audience than we would be able to do if we were just in person. So, having the opportunity to streamline the curriculum and just offer it to a really large group of students is, for me, it's a really great opportunity for us.
Yeah. So introduce us a little bit to the Young Investors Empowerment Club. I gave a little bit about the intro, but for somebody who wants to know it on basic terms, tell them all about it.
Yeah, definitely. So the club kind of started off humble origins, started off small. It was just me teaching a group of 6th and 8th graders at PS3 in the South Bronx. Just, we were going over investment curriculum, stocks, portfolio diversification, just stuff like that. And, after the club got shut down last year, thanks to COVID, we couldn't do anything in person. I kind of started to think about just, wanting to offer this experience to more students. So, thanks to that, I was able to get a grant from a organization in Westchester, and that helped me set up a website. And through the website, I've been able to, with the help of some other students from my school, I've been able to develop curriculum that we're going to use for this upcoming year. So curriculum stuff includes like stocks. Really important stuff is researching stocks online. What is a stock? How do we look at stocks? Portfolio diversification, all of this stuff like that, just so we can help students start to become familiar with the terminology related to stocks, because a lot of students would be interested in this stuff, but there's kind of a barrier there because of the language and because of kind of the just this, there's just kind of a barrier. It has to do with the language and there's other stuff, but what we're hoping to do is break down that barrier and kind of allow more students to get into this type of stuff.
And when you talk about being receptive to stocks, and I mean, there's a lot of heavy language, as you said, a lot of heavy language, a lot of information that's being passed on, and most of all, you're talking about money. And sometimes that can be a challenge to some, but I know you do a great job of really breaking down the walls to allow students to have the opportunity to really take part. So tell us about the students that are actually taking part, because not only have you been able to do this on a local level with students in the Bronx and Westchester, I know that also you got some national partnership as well.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of our local partnership, we're working with SOBRO, which is a community organization in the Bronx that I've been connected with for the past few years. And our hope is to distribute the club across their network of schools intended for our target audience in 7th to 10th grade. In terms of Westchester, still working on that. We're looking to get about a dozen schools signed up. We don't know how many students they're going to be, but we're expecting around 100 to 200 students from Westchester. And for our national partnership, it's actually something we're pretty excited about. It's the National Young Investors Society. I'm actually on the board of the organization, and it's going to be helpful for us because we're using our lessons as sort of an interactive lesson. So they can really be completed at any time, but it still involves videos and activities in the lesson. And fortunately, the Young Investor Society, the National Club, they actually have those resources that are available to use for us. So we're going to actually be able to integrate their library into our lessons. And we're talking about professional videos and professional activities. So it's definitely something that we're pretty excited about to be able to have.
Yeah. And so how does it work? I mean, I understand the students have money to work with, and of course it's not real money, but talk about that and how they're able to actually chart their growth.
Yeah, definitely. So that's really the most important part of our club. And students really wouldn't be too enthused to just sit down every week for an hour and just do a lesson and, have to take notes and stuff like that. That's not really what students want in a extracurricular activity. So what we've done is we kind of made that the second part of the club, and really the first and foremost part, what you talked about, is the competition and the investing. So we work on a website. It's called Investopedia.com. And actually each student gets $250,000 in fake money. And they're able to invest that in stocks and bonds and ETFs. And we have a game set up specifically for our club. So throughout the club, we'll be able to track how students are doing, which students have made money, which students have lost money. And also throughout the club, we're going to be offering rewards for students who finish in first place after a certain amount of weeks. So there'll be cash prizes.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so talk to me about the attitude of students knowing that they have this fake money, but, it also gives them the opportunity to, when they have their own, to be able to transition into real life and go right into it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why we're doing the fake money. Obviously, it presents a really good opportunity for the students to really take risks and to really do experiment with things that they might not be aware of. And so when they get real money and when they start investing with real money, they're more informed investors and they feel more comfortable. So that's why we start with the fake money.
Yeah. So what's things looking like this year? I mean, of course, COVID-19 has definitely impacted everybody. Talk to us about what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a challenge, obviously, with COVID and just doing everything remotely and trying to set it up that way. But I think we've been pretty successful and we're looking forward to it. So like I said, we're working with SOBRO in the Bronx. We're going to be hopefully distributing it across their network. They work with many schools in the Bronx. So hopefully all the schools that SOBRO's in, we're going to be offered. That doesn't mean students have to, but, just as an option for them. And as well, in Westchester, we're trying to distribute it to schools as well. Just let schools know that this is this is offering for you, let the students know. It's no pressure to sign up, but we just want students who want to take the course and who are interested in this material. We want them to have that opportunity.
Yeah. And do you get these students who had initially had no interest whatsoever, and all of a sudden you find themselves being glued to the club? Is that some of the success stories that I'm hearing?
Yeah. Part of the reason that happens, and yeah, that does happen. Part of the reason that happens is because of the competition and because of kind of almost the cutthroat aspect. When students are pitted against each other, it almost doesn't even matter what it is, right? They always want to win. They always want to come out on top. So setting up the club like that for us has been really successful because, students might not have a deep interest in this curriculum to begin with, but when we start bringing the competition and we start offering prizes and we're saying, look, you can beat your classmates in this and you could be the best at this, that's something that all students want. So yeah, that's definitely been a successful part.
And when did you start for yourself?
I've been teaching the club since this is going to be my third year. Like I said, the first 2 years I did it, it was just me, and I was just teaching 6th and 8th graders at PS3. We just set up a mini version of what I'm offering online right now. But this year I'm working with 2 of my classmates from my high school, as well as the National Young Investor Society Club.
Yeah. And so for students, say for instance, there's a student out there watching right now and say, listen, I want to be a part of this. This is what I want to get. I want to learn. What can they do?
Yeah, definitely. So we're still in the setting up phases. We're looking to start our curriculum and release our first lessons probably in mid-October, just because, with the online school, after school curriculum, it's kind of second to school. So we just want to make sure schools are set up and everyone's good before that. But definitely, if any students are interested, or if any, parents are interested for their kids, or if any school directors are interested, you could definitely reach us. We have a website with our contact. That's going to be at www.younginvestoремpowerment.org, or you could just send me an email, younginvestoремpowerment@gmail.com.
Yeah. Having a program such as this, what do you feel it makes a difference in the life of students who take part?
Yeah, well, hopefully that's really my goal is, I just think this is a huge, huge shortfall in our education. This is stuff that's immediately applicable to your life. Like, you get out of high school and you're immediately going to have to deal with your finances, and this is real life. And so I think giving students an early start in this, and letting them become familiar with the terminology and with the options, and really breaking down the walls and showing that, buying stocks, it's not that complicated, or, putting your money in a bank, it's not like, this is something that everyone can do. So just for me, I really hope to give students just an early shot, and the earlier you start, the better. That really goes for everything, including this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so as we talk about your program, I want to talk a little bit about, you talk about stocks, you talk about investment. What are some of the other components that actually your students will actually get a chance to learn?
Yeah. So obviously that's kind of our main focus, is stocks and investing. But we do talk about several other things. So that can include some, we're going to touch on economics just as it relates to stocks, stuff like, interest rates, unemployment, stuff like that. And then in addition, we're going to, towards the end of the course, we're hoping for older students, maybe for students in the 10th grade, we're hoping to touch on some personal finance. So, talking about stuff like opening a bank account, opening a stock brokerage account, debt, interest, stuff like that. Just to offer a well-rounded curriculum.
Yeah. And you're doing all this, and it's amazing because you yourself are a senior at Mamaroneck High School. Talk to us about, you're still in high school, and and here you are, just full throttle.
Yeah. Well, I've been interested in this for a long time. I had my own business that kind of stopped during COVID, but thanks to my business, I was kind of able to have some money, and I really started investing it. And it was really awesome for me. I really love seeing the money grow. I love picking different stocks, and I just it's something that immediately resonated with me. So, having the opportunity to, work with younger students, and, I'm not a professional, but, I think it's something that I know pretty well. And it's something that I'm really happy to, work with younger students with.
Well, it's great that you're doing it. It's great that you're empowering young students. Being a student yourself, it's a great story. And, for you to have the opportunity to even pay it forward and give back while you're still getting it yourself is quite awesome. And so before we go, let me ask you, for those who want to get connected to you, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, as I touched on before, just the 2 methods. Definitely visit the website. Even if you're not interested, just check it out. Younginvestoремpowerment.org. Just type that in your browser. And my email is younginvestoремpowerment@gmail.com.
Well, Jonah, keep making a difference, and thank you for what you're doing. It's really empowering people, and it's a great story. You yourself being a high school senior, and you're still giving back. Great story. Thank you so much for work.
Thank you. Appreciate me having me on.
All righty. Well, thank you. Why don't you stay with us? We still have more show coming up here on Open. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back right after this.
Hi, I'm Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., and I'm making sure that the Bronx count is my priority. That's why I'm urging everyone to fill out the 2020 census. The 2020 census is important because it would allow for the federal government to determine how much money and resources the Bronx is going to need for the next 10 years around healthcare, education, housing, roads, representation, and so many other things. What does it mean exactly? Just imagine if you are organizing a party or an event, and you send out 100 invitations, but only 50 people RSVP, and you only prepare for 50 people, and yet 100 people showed up. You're gonna be short of food, seats, tables, chairs. That's why it is important that 100% of us here in the Bronx fill out the 2020 census. It is easy, it is confidential, it doesn't matter whether you're a citizen or undocumented. We need everybody to fill it out. Now let's all get together and make the Bronx count.
And thank you for staying with us. The Bronx Brewery and Empanology have signed a 5-year agreement, and that is going to bring a unique culinary experience to the South Bronx. It marks the Bronx's Born Food Lab's first official food partner in the brewery's 9-year history. Operating out of a brand new kitchen in the Bronx Brewery's backyard in the South Bronx, Empanology will now fire up its signature innovative takes on uptown classics 7 days a week with outdoor dining and currently available and delivery on the horizon. Joining us to tell us a little bit more about this wonderful initiative, we have the founder of Empanology, Alicea, and also general manager at Bronx Brewery, Brandon Espinosa. And gentlemen, good to have you.
How you doing, Daren?
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey, man, great to have you guys. Great to see you. And this comes at a great time. I mean, really, we're just trying to make it navigate out of COVID, just trying to deal with, getting back to some sense of normalcy. But to have this partnership, I know it does good for both the South Bronx and also the Bronx and New York City as a whole. So give us a little bit about Empanology right off the rip.
So for those that don't know, we are a Bronx born and based empanada company. We currently have over 55 different flavors that rotate on our menu. At this point, we're about to launch our fall menu. We got a new vegan empanada. We just launched a coconut curry. And we're going to be launching a lot of innovative seasonal empanadas and pairing them with the up-and-comer series of beers that the brewery offers. But pretty much Puerto Rican comfort food. We're operating out of a brand new food truck in the back of the Bronx Brewery. Brand new team I'm super excited to be working with. And just look forward to, the consistent, innovative, creative empanadas and some good comfort food on the menu as well.
Yeah. Brandon, introduce people to the Bronx Brewery.
Sure, absolutely. So thanks again for having me here. Really excited to share a little bit more about the brewery as well as the partnership with Empanology. But we got started in the South Bronx in 2011. So as you said earlier, celebrating 9 years this year and really getting excited for next year, where it will be our celebration of a decade in business, which is no small feat for a craft brewery. Our tap room has been open since 2014. And as many know, the primary focus of our business is production, which is what you see, around New York City and in some other markets, both domestically and internationally. But one of the unique things that I think make us stand out in the industry is the fact that we have an incredible backyard space. And a lot of the work that I've done has been around culture, community, and events. Mm-hmm. And so right now, as you know, we're going through unprecedented times in our industry, particularly hospitality, has been crippled. And I think you're going to see a lot of that as the year progresses, but really excited that indoor dining is coming on hand. But with that being said, we've been able as a brewery to pivot and kind of find the silver linings during this time by launching BXB Go, which is our online B2C e-commerce platform, which Jason and Empanology and their team will be a part of via the pickup and delivery options that we'll launch with them. But we've also been able to transform our backyard into a space that follows all of the CDC guidelines and requires face coverings and everything to ensure a safe but pleasant and hospitable experience for those that are looking for something to do during this time. And, as I said in the past, great beer, amazing food, better vibes. That's who we are. And all of that is anchored around our values of inclusivity, community, and creativity. So whether it's a beer we're making, whether it's a community initiative that we're partaking in, or, you know, a collaboration or a partnership that we're looking to sign. Those are the three things that kind of drive us as a company.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit more, because I want to get this out here, Jason. You know, when we talk about this, you know, somebody said, "Well, it's a whole lot more than just food." I mean, it's a whole lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a pop-up location, brick and mortar, in Mount Haven for about 15 months prior to coming over to the Bronx Brewery, and we were blessed with a beautiful space there, and we kind of utilized it to do community outreach, events focused for the community. Community givebacks. My father's a pastor of a church, Elements Church in the Bronx. We had pop-up service there every Sunday. And just being born and raised in the Bronx, my heart has always been for the people, more specifically the kids. And I just try to use that platform and that space to, you know, to give back as much as I can in various ways, whether it's a sponsorship of an empanada or an event for the kids, or, you know, utilizing the space, or just networking people together, other Bronx creatives. A lot of people have met at Empanology and continue to thrive off each other and their businesses. And I'm proud to say that, you know, we had that space to create that space for everyone. And I know now moving forward that we have the power of joining forces with the Bronx Brewery, whose heart has always been for the community, and have several legs doing several works already with the community, coupled with our efforts and our minds. I think we got a lot of big things coming. I know we have a Thanksgiving initiative that's coming up, and just, you know, putting both of our heads together and down on the ground to make sure that we're not only just two businesses selling a product, but two businesses putting the people first.
So for those people who are just joining us, tell me about a Bronx-born food lab. And so there's a partnership between the Bronx Brewery and Empanology in creating this Bronx-born food lab. Walk us through, what are the goals and what can people expect once this food lab takes off?
So right now we're, for the first time ever, open 7 days a week, which we never been. So now we're full service. So our extended hours, we extended our menu. We're not only just serving empanadas, we have a list of like 8 different cool sandwiches and burgers, some fries, like a stir-fried Chino Latino lab fried rice, we call it. We are on the pickup platform for the BXB Go. We are going to be launching on the delivery platforms in the next week or two. And also a big announcement that I'll get you guys to share for the first time. We're going to be launching our frozen empanadas for the first time in about 2 years. It's kind of how we started the company, over an Instagram post, people buying them by the dozen frozen and able to bring that Empanology experience home. And now you'll be able to bring that Empanology and Bronx Brewery experience at home, not only through the BXB Go, but also through the frozen empanadas and cases of beers to take home. And just overall, like I think it's one of those situations, Daren, where you got to kind of come and see for yourself. Once you step foot in that backyard, and now as of Saturday, the indoor dining, that super excited to announce everything we got planned for that. You're gonna feel the energy, you're gonna feel the vibe, you're gonna see the joy on people's faces, whether it's because of the chopped cheese empanada or because of the No Resolutions beer that they're drinking, or a combination of the both. Everyone's kind of enjoying themselves. And most importantly, like B said, safely is first for us back there. We got security in place. We have a lot of sanitizing stations. Everything's covered in terms of people feeling comfortable and safe. And something that I noticed is different from other restaurants is we've always had that backyard space. We've always had a front yard space at our old location. So it doesn't feel so new normal back there. It feels like it did before. We always sat at these picnic tables and kind of communally, like, you know, enjoyed the time together. We're listening to good music, we're drinking a beer, we're eating great food. And that didn't change. It's a little less people now because of the guidelines, but it still feels normal. It still feels fun. People are enjoying themselves. And I think, you know, the numbers speak for themselves. There's a line out the door every weekend. And we're trying our best to accommodate people as often as we can. And we're only going to get bigger and better, especially working together now with the Bronx Brewery.
Yeah, Jason, thank you for always coming and dropping an exclusive here on Open, especially on my show. I appreciate that. But Brandon, I want to talk with you about this because when we talk about what's going on right now, of course, a lot of people have concerns. COVID-19, indoor dining restrictions given both by New York City Mayor de Blasio, as well as by the governor. Talk to us about how you guys are handling that and dealing with that in the midst of this partnership.
Absolutely. So, for both of our businesses, the goal is to stay open, right, and bring our community what it deserves. And so for us, it's always been remaining nimble and flexible and kind of thinking on your feet of what makes sense and where investments can be made in order to continue to, have a partnership that's mutually beneficial. So as we think of indoor dining, which begins this Wednesday, September 30th, we had to think about our space, and we operate in a very unique space. As I mentioned before, our primary focus is production, and that's how we distribute across New York State as well as internationally. And so when thinking of that and thinking of our backyard, which is our greatest asset, which is where we're able to accommodate the majority of the people, we decided to break our space up and attack indoor dining in a phased approach. So what you'll see is on weekends, beginning this weekend, October 3rd, we will begin indoor dining, but they'll operate as two separate entities. So if you want to dine indoors, you'll have the entrance on 136th Street through our tap room. If you want to dine outdoors, you will have our entrance via our backyard on 135th Street between Willow and Walnut. What that allows is for indoor dining, for us to meet all the restrictions as well as guidelines of, thermometer checks, contact tracing, contact forms, tableside service, since bar service is restricted during indoor dining, but it still allows us to operate the backyard with a different set of guidelines that are set back there. Obviously, there's overlap with 6 feet social distancing and face coverings. So that's what you're going to see for the next month or so. We'll be operating the backyard only Monday through Friday as outdoor dining. And then the weekends will transition to an indoor dining, outdoor dining hybrid. And then come November 7th, we'll transition into a phase 2 approach where our entire venue will be indoor dining 7 days a week. And what that will mean is that Monday through Friday, the backyard will be indoor dining. And you might say, wait, that's outside. The investment that we're making there is throwing a tent back there that's enclosed with a heater. Obviously, seating is going to be reduced, but we think this is the best approach forward. One, given the changing of the season and the weather, but two, given the restrictions and guidelines and the ability to maximize our space so that, we can continue to benefit both businesses and create enough space and maximize the space for our community that we serve.
Well, thank you guys so much. I think it's great that you guys are coming together and basically tackling all these initiatives that I think a lot of people have concerns about, but you're meeting them head on. And also to have that Bronx-born food lab, the first right here in the borough of the Bronx. Brandon, Jason, thank you so much for being with us here on Open. Best wishes, and we're going to continue to follow this.
Thank you, Daren.
Thank you, Daren.
And of course, you're going to see
at the brewery soon.
No, that's what I was going to say. Of course, you're going to see me too, right? So there it is too. All right, listen, thank you guys. Listen, I want to go make sure that the people get more information. Now, if you want more information about exactly what they are doing and how to stay connected, go and check out their website, Empanology.com. And then also, if you want more, BronxBrewery.com. There you can get connected and find out more. Listen, I want to thank our guests for joining us. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the show, so thank you for joining us as viewers tuning in. If you want to catch the recablecast, don't forget Bronx says channel 67. Verizon Files, that'd be channel 2133, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. Also want to thank our viewers who are watching in Manhattan, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously in Manhattan. Thank you for watching. For all of us here on the show, Daren, Jaime saying take care, God bless. If you want a brand new episode, check us out on Friday. My girl, Rena Valentine, will be back with another brand new episode of Open. See you soon.